Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. And I just finished watching Scream 2. I started watching it before I had to go to work, but I didn't really have time to finish it because I started getting ready for work yesterday, and I planned on doing it yesterday before work. And yeah, but other than that, it's probably better to do the sequels today because it's all about the sequels. No, but seriously, Scream 2 is a great movie for not the late 90s. And I'm telling you, Scream 1 and 2 both came out in the late 90s. I was just a year old when Scream came out, so it's probably a good thing that Scream came out. Scream 2 came out a year after because I think this is what they did. They finished filming, once they got finished filming Scream 1, they immediately jumped into making the sequel, which works because Scream took place 2 years before, which makes sense. They probably, I think this is how they did it. They started filming in, 95, which makes sense. I mean, the movie doesn't really take that long, which makes sense, when you're dealing with easy kills, low action. I think they have to do it in 30 days, depending on if everything works, Plus, you have to do reshoots and stuff like that. And it's fantastic. I freaking love Scream 1 and 2. But hey. Okay. So, Scream 2 is a meta commentary on it. If you look back, it's literally a meta commentary on sequels in general, where if you look at the difference, right, from Scream 1 versus Scream 2, Scream is a meta commentary on horror movies in general. Scream 2 is the same concept, but with sequels in general. And they play so much they play so much significance within this sequel. If you look back to any sequel, Terminator, Aliens 2, Predator 2, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, any sequel that can be either good or bad, or just barely hitting the surface. You can see how times have changed for sequels in general. And the sequel came around. The Scream sequel, Scream 2, had so many 80s, 70s, 60s to early days of cinema, the early days of Hollywood, at their fingertips. But in that time frame, they had all these sequels, right, that they could pull from, like horror movie sequels, pop culture sequels from that decade, from that generation, from that era of film, that era of Hollywood. Now, today, kids have multiple decades, multiple generations of Hollywood and film at their fingertips. If you want to watch classic vampires, and you feel like Nosferatu is a good choice, watch Nosferatu. You can watch any freaking Mummy sequel, or anything like that. You can even watch all the modern day sequels for all I care. For if you like modern day horror, you can literally watch classic slasher horror. You can watch any kind of horror movie you want and think back, oh wow, this is clearly 70s. This is pure 80s. Oh, this is definitely 90s here. Like, the point of what I'm trying to say is Scream 2 is by far one of my favorite Scream movies of horror movies in general, horror comedies. I freaking love it. And it is true, in horror movies, when you get a sequel, the kill count is higher. Slightly higher. Just slightly higher. The stakes are slightly higher. The more and more you go, the higher your sequels get. The more and more sequels you have, there will always be a higher stake, a higher risk of taking. A slightly higher risk, kill count than the previous. And I'm not saying that to say that in a bad way, but like, think about it. You can literally just think about all the times the Terminator came back, right? For example, the stakes of trying to kill Sarah Connor, right? It started off with a mission to kill Sarah Connor, right? And then in the sequel, it was all about killing John Connor. And protecting John Connor from destiny and stopping the pre-existing threat that is Judgment Day. However, although the threat was slightly higher and the kill count was slightly raised, the hero still will always come on top. And I don't care how many people like this or not, but the black guy always dies first in any horror movie. If it's not the black girl, if it's not the black guy, it's the black girl. And if it's not the black girl, it's probably both. It's probably both who die first. Just saying. I'm not trying to say that that's fucked up, because it is. But it's just a classic horror movie cliche trope that has been played time and time again. Which is hilarious, you know. Not that it's not. Don't get me wrong, it's not hilarious to see someone die first in a horror movie, but it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love horror movies and stuff like that, but when you are if you're anybody of color and you're in a horror movie, right? There are two things you can count on. Either one, you're gonna be the first one dead, or two, your lady is gonna be the first one dead, and the hero is usually the main character who has to face the threat head on. It's classic. It's a classic horror movie trope at this point. And it's not just about a person of color. Anybody, usually white, black, Mexican, Asian, Indian, anybody. Anyone who has skin color usually is the first one dead. I mean, granted, the first one was all white people who died, which is funny because, like, the first two people to be killed in the sequel are black people, which is kind of messed up, but hilarious at the same time. But also, you know what I noticed in this sequel? A young Liev Schreiber. I was like, wait, I was like, oh shit, that's young Liev Schreiber. And Stab, I love how in the movie I love one thing that Scream 2 works has really well, uses really well, is the whole movie commentary, the whole horror genre. It's a movie that is surrounded by a movie. Like, the killings take place during a horror movie. In this particular sequel, like, you start off with Stab, right? Which is one of the greatest which is one of the greatest, most unoriginal, uninspiring title for a movie. Stab. And then what now, which is a great title. Stab. Just keep it short and simple. Stab. Kind of like Friday the 13th. Stab. Stab. But also in this they have, I want to say, Luke Wilson playing Billy. Which is freaking hilarious. And they did not do a good job on reenacting that moment in Scream. With Luke Wilson playing Billy, aka one of the main killers. But one thing I do like about this is the fact that it kind of twists the whole mother and son killer role. First you had the son being the killer, right? Then you have the mother being one of the main killers. And it is about the sequel is a revenge story, which makes sense. Scream 1 was all about, I would say revenge too. But honestly, there was nothing that Sydney had control over, All she had control over was the fact that she sent an innocent man, who would later be played by a young Liev Schreiber, to jail because he only had sex with her, which is not the best thing, but still, you sent an innocent man to prison, to jail, for something you thought had happened to your mother, which, okay, understandable, but that was the only part of what she could have controlled herself. Other than that, I don't think she was a part of having her mother sleep with her boyfriend's father. She had no part of, she didn't really have any control or say in what she did with I mean, she had some control. She didn't really have much of a say-so with what her son was doing, killing people because his mother left his mother and father 2 years ago, or about a year ago. That was not on her. That was on his mother. And maybe their sex wasn't great. Maybe they lost their spark. Maybe they just felt like there's nothing there anymore. So either one is gonna cheat or they're both gonna cheat. Who knows? At this point, it's literally the 90s. And killing isn't right. But if you're gonna kill, make sure you're gonna kill for justice and not for all the wrong reasons. Just saying. I mean, killing isn't right at all, even if it's for justice, but I'm pretty sure there will be some major stuff that is available or is legal when it comes to killing. I don't know. I've never killed anybody a day in my life, and I don't plan on killing anybody. I just kill ants. That's it. Ants and other disgusting bugs. That's it. But other than that, it's a good movie. I freaking love it. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys so far. Please like, share, subscribe, and have a good day. Thanks. Bye.